gotta. Maybe I gotta.
Yeah. That was a good intro though, right?
Yeah, that was smooth. Evie, Justice. Turn the phones down. So we don't get no background noise from y'all.
Oh, the mic is good with the background.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think that'll probably make a noise, but that's it's
word.
Yeah. Welcome to another episode of From Within, where we amplify Virginia's talent, giving everybody a voice. Today we have Matheau Dupe. Pleasure to have you.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. So first of all, I want to talk about this area, your connections with the 757. You just mentioned to us that you're Jamaican. You have immigrant parents.
Yes.
So can you tell us about how you came to this area?
Yeah. Actually, my father was the first to come down here from New Jersey, and he started working at the radio station 102.9 back in the day. And he had an engineering degree, worked on the base as well. Then we all moved down here from Jersey, my mother and my brothers. I grew up out here since 1990. Was a part of the first West Indian community, actually out here to start like a real home for everybody that's West Indian, would all come down here. And we always, like Lake Taylor was my home.
Right.
I grew up playing soccer at Lake Taylor, every blade of grass out there. Yeah. I done kicked, ran, rolled, everything that you could think of was done at Lake Taylor. But at that time, there wasn't that many places or locations for people like that, you know, especially in Norfolk, and then going into Virginia Beach, which was a new city at that time as well, growing up out here. So it was really new, man, but it was fun. We created our pockets as a West Indian community, and our culture, we always kept it for everybody to come and feel safe because it's obviously a military base, military area. But a lot of Caribbean people came in, you know, we helped grow them, gave them a home, and help build the culture just for the area itself. So we were a big part of that, and just help stay in that way.
Got you. So, of course, soccer is, you know, your thing. So can you tell us about, you know, what drew you to the game of soccer? You know, what was that moment that kind of that it clicked for you with soccer?
Oh, man, soccer has been my whole entire life. I grew up watching my dad and all my uncles and my cousins and my family play from when I was a kid. And I was playing with grown men from when I was like 8, 9 years old. So that was all I knew. And then the changing life moment for me with playing soccer was when I went to Spain at 15. That's when I knew, okay, this is real. Like I could touch, you know what I'm saying, a higher level and a higher quality. That was the first time I got my first pro contract offer. That was the first time that I got on a plane to fly somewhere to represent, you know, and have all eyes on me. And at that time, I mean, for my family, it's a very big deal, but just culturally, it was a really big deal because it was just like, it was a platform. It was the beginning stages of me actually building my career. And it was a chance for me to separate myself from everybody else. And that was the moment when I got over there and I saw the crowds of people playing in front of 1,000 people, and you're seeing Russia, Italy, Brazil, Barcelona, all these different countries play and all these different club teams play, and you're like, oh, this is what it really looked like.
Right.
Like, it ain't just parents, you know what I'm saying, and orange slices. Like, this is the real deal. So for me, that was a pivotal moment in my life, especially when it came to the sport.
Gotcha. Can you talk about more in your playing career? You went pro at 15. I was going to ask you about your collegiate career, but did you get a chance to play at the college level?
Yeah, I played at the college level. I did JUCO for 2 years. I was one of the top recruits in the country, actually coming out of the area. Then I went to Grand Canyon in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
College was lovely, man. Like, you get to get that experience. Like, it's probably the one time in your life where you actually get to be in full control. I did not want to go to college. That was like, I was legit. When I came back from Spain, I had told my parents, I don't want to go to college anymore. Like, I just want to go play pro. And they were like, nah, you got to go to college. And I was like, nah. Like, this is not what I wanted to do. But I went. I did the 4 years. It was an amazing time. I got to learn a lot. My coaches kept me in soccer, though. Like, they made sure that I was playing consistently. So I didn't have a break. I didn't have time off. I didn't have, like, you know, summertime jobs. Like, my coach got me fired. I had a job at Champ Sports in Lynn Haven Mall for 2 weeks. I got one check. My coach called me while I was working and was like, yep, we booked a flight for you to go to New Mexico and your flight leaves tomorrow. And I was like, Coach, I got a job. He was like, that's not your job. You're a soccer player. Like, this is what you do. And I left. And from there, I never looked back. And that's what I've been doing my entire life. I'm just playing the sport and seeing the entire world because of it. And it's the one thing that took me out of the area to let me see other cultures, other experiences that I'm never going to get to be able to see being here.
Right. This year, or was it last year? Correct me if I'm wrong, but you were the interim head coach at Hampton University for the girls team. So
Yeah.
can you tell us about how that opportunity came about and how that experience was for you, kind of just jumping in there and getting that done?
Oh yeah, man, that was this past fall. So it was actually crazy. I had asked to be the assistant coach because I wanted to get myself involved with one of the HBCU programs out here. And Hampton's the only one with actually a soccer program because Norfolk State doesn't have one.
Right.
And I was like, look, I just want to be a part of the program. I just want to be assistant coach and I will help assist. So the head coach ended up relieving himself and there was a need for a head coach. And so they were like, hey, would you like to be the head coach? I'm like, sure, I'll step in. Like, I want this energy anyway. Like, it's cool. And it was a great time, man, I must say, to be able to impact 40 young women under these circumstances and to hear, that I could help problem solve, but also help teach them the game and grow the sport, but also be on a college campus and see that side of it from an HBCU standpoint.
Right, yeah.
It gives you more of an appreciation of an HBCU, but it also shows you the trials that HBCUs go through and the difference of having a team of all black players and then going against traditional schools that don't have that or don't know what that looks like, or it might be one black girl on that team that you're playing against. So it's a gift and a curse, but you get to see it from the collegiate level, like how it is a business. And, if the athletes who are really good went to HBCUs, what that landscape would look like. And so that's the big part where I got to see a lot from that standpoint.
Right.
But I enjoyed it all.
Yeah. You're spearheading player position in this area, which is basically advocating the game of soccer in this area and, giving younger children a chance to learn about the game. So can you tell us more about player position?
Oh, yeah. Player Position is my business, my nonprofit that I started actually during COVID. It started through the first Wall Street Soccer tournament. I wanted to be more involved with kids. But I also had a real passion during that time frame because, mental health was starting to really become a thing. But as adults, we never thought about it from a kid standpoint.
Right.
And that's the standpoint that I was seeing was I saw my kids at home having to learn just from a computer screen for an entire year. And I was thinking to myself, okay, I know my kids and I know what they're going through. So then I started to think about the kid that doesn't have that outlet, or the kid that maybe doesn't have access to the internet, or doesn't have a laptop, or doesn't have anything like that to really have access to. That was a challenge. And so during that time frame, that's where Player Position came from. So I got access to Parks and Rec for the city of Norfolk. And I really started to tap in with them to go ahead and give me the tools to go into the elementary schools, but talk to the kids, talk to the teachers, and just give me that access to be like a mentor.
Right.
And soccer is a conduit, but it's more so about building communication, problem solving, critical thinking, bringing in other resources to come in and help, but to also just give these kids a chance to one, understand that somebody is trying to listen to them. And two, that whatever you're going through at home, you have someone that you can speak to about it. Right. Because a lot of times these kids are waking up in troublesome circumstances. And as adults, we say mental health, but a kid that has no outlet, they have no one to ever speak to. And they go through that day by day, being told no. And it's not like, it's a great thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I come in, and that's why I really work with a lot of these schools within the city. But now that it's expanded, like Hampton, I've been out there. Portsmouth has asked me to come out there, Chesapeake has asked me to come out. Virginia Beach is asking me to come out, and so it's grown so fast, and I want to say maybe 3 to 4 years. And during this time frame, my whole goal is to just keep being able to help kids out as much as I possibly can. Right.
And I was just going to ask, what has been your most satisfying moment throughout this process with, player position?
In all honesty, it's seeing kids connect with each other. We live in the Hampton Roads, or the 7 cities divided instead of 7 cities united, is what I like to say, because each pocket separates themselves. But when it comes to player position, the kids come together. There is no separation of, oh, I live in Virginia Beach or I live in Norfolk. It's like, oh, I'm here to play soccer, but I just made a new friend. So like before every match or before every training session, every kid has to shake another kid's hand. And you got to say hello, tell them your name. So by the end of that day or the end of my session, you've made 25 new friends. You've made 30 new friends. You made 40 new friends. So as a kid, you're now interacting with different people of different race, different backgrounds, different cultures. But now our community can be joined together. It don't take for you to be 20 for you to connect with somebody. You know what I'm saying? These kids are now connecting at 8 years old, 7 years old, 5 years old, you know, and even into adulthood. But now they're making friends that they're going to see for a very long time. And if they see them in the grocery store, they're not afraid to say hello. They're not worried about well, I can't say hi to him because I only know him for soccer. Like, nah, speak to him now as well, the same way you would at the soccer field.
Right.
So it's just breaking that gap out here and just connecting people more better, especially at a younger age.
Right. World Street Soccer made its debut a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I remember the first event was at the Vale.
Yep.
And that was a big thing. And now it's kind of taking its life of its own. You have, pickup games over there by MacArthur Mall.
Yeah.
You have pickup games, is it by Harbor Park? So can you tell us about, going through that process with the pickup games and World Street Soccer and setting up these events? Because it's huge now at this point, and it's taking its life of its own. So talk to us about that.
Oh, man, World Street Soccer is it's a dope collective, of myself, Have a Good Day, Team Mercy, and others involved. And what we really do is we try to provide everybody a chance to play, just giving access to the sport. So, we have pickup matches that we put on for people to come out. That's totally free. It don't matter how old you are, you could be the worst player in the world. You can drink beer all day and want to come out there and play. Yeah. You good. You could be 85. Like my pops is 80-something years old. He comes to play. There's no you got to be this good player. Like, nah, just come out and get exercise. You could be a little kid at 6 years old and you're able to play. So we have the pickups, at Harbor Park and at MacArthur Mall. We've also opened them up at Virginia Beach. We've done a few private matches at Yorkies before it opened up. We did something in the water. We just did street soccer matches during sand soccer tournament as well. So we're expanding that a lot with the pickup series. The tournament is a whole nother showcase. That's where we have the DJs, the merchandise, the trophies, the cash prize, which is drawing people from all over. And it all started from that first one we did. That first one kicked off and people were like, what is this? Yeah. And that energy, we never stopped. And we kept pushing it forward and kept adding to it. And we still do. And it creates this moment of what can soccer look like in any community? And that's all we're trying to do, is just push that culture forward where the sport is for everyone. I mean, obviously during this time, we're seeing it now. You got, Euros, you got Copa, you got the Olympics coming up. You got women's soccer that's growing. You got youth soccer, which is having an explosion and seeing parents realizing, oh, my son can sign a contract or my daughter can sign a contract at 15 years old. You don't got to wait to get to the NBA alone to make it. That, yeah. That's one thing that, in perspective, most people really don't understand the backgrounds of soccer. It's open to everyone. Right. You don't have to always have this expectation of, oh, I got to make it only here in America. No, you can go abroad. You can get paid as early as 13, 14 years old if you're good enough, And then you have the national team access where literally if you're Nigerian, you're Jamaican, you're African. I mean, you have your African descent, you have your South Americans, you have your European backgrounds. You can always tap in and see how far it goes. To see which national team you want to choose, which country you want to choose. Because some people have parents that have, different nationalities that you can choose from. And you can make that choice. Myself, I could have chosen between U.S. or Jamaica. And I chose Jamaica, even though I had U.S. still as an opportunity when I was younger. Right. But I always wanted to play for Jamaica because that was my background. That was my family standpoint. I had my opportunities for that to happen, but it's a dope process. And what World Street Soccer is doing is we're growing it here in Norfolk and looking to bring it to the world as well. So it's definitely grown a lot, and it's been a great thing to be a part of.
Gotcha. And you just mentioned about, how you can take the game so many ways from an early age, and just with different sports, traditionally in America, it's basketball, football, baseball. Right. And a lot of people think about it, you go to high school, you do your years, you go to college, and you go pro. But with soccer, a lot of people don't know the ins and outs. So can you explain why a lot of people, feel like soccer is so far behind in America? but in other countries, it's kind of like the main thing, and that's just what it is. But in America, we're kind of still slow. Can you, kind of explain about, why we're still so far behind these other countries?
Well, one of the biggest reasons why we're so far behind is because it's the school system. Like, one, because in America, like, you go to school for 12 years, and then you go to college.
Right.
To whereas in European countries and like everywhere else, almost around the world, you go to school, you go through your process, and then you go into your profession.
Right.
And so, like basketball and football, you excel only in high school sports. That's not how soccer works.
Yeah.
Like soccer, you play that sport strategically your whole life until they say to you, like, all right, once you hit 14, you have to make a decision. So at 14 years old here, you still living life.
Yeah,
like
just a freshman in high school.
Right, I'm just a freshman in high school. I can do what I want to do. Like,
Yeah.
nah, over there, you got to choose. Go into your profession and study, or you have X amount of time to try to become a professional soccer player.
Right.
And in that time frame in other countries, between 14 to let's just say 22, you're pursuing that. But if it doesn't work out after the first couple of years, you transition. At here in America, at 22, you're kind of just getting out of college, or you're entering the draft.
Right.
And so you're already 6 years behind, 5 years behind, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A kid that's already been doing this and that's already made that accomplishment from their academy team straight through.
Right.
And so now this is where America's starting to get through the process and starting to understand it. But the other part about it is that in America, it's $1 billion business. So I open a soccer club, I can make millions of dollars all day long because it's a supply and demand.
Right.
In European countries and around the world, it's free.
Yeah.
They pay for you to come to the club. The only thing you're paying for is maybe your tryout. Outside of that, your jerseys, your bags, all of that stuff, you don't pay for. Your parents aren't paying for that. The club is bringing you in because they want to house you there. They're going to make sure you eat. You do everything that everybody else is doing. Here in America, we're still stuck on, well, you got to go to high school, and you got to go to Dupe University, or you got to go to this school. And it's like, nah. You are part of Norfolk Academy, guess what? You going to Norfolk Academy to play ball all day long until LA Galaxy decides that they want to buy you, or a European club like Barcelona wants to purchase you, and then you go from there.
Right.
And then that money that every time you get purchased by a club, that money trickles down back to your community. So whoever that first coach was that trained you, he's getting a piece of that money.
Right.
So that's how like the trickle down effect happens around the world as a comparison to America, where it doesn't happen at all.
Yeah.
So you have these players, let's just use Brazil, for example. Every Brazilian player that gets signed by a club, that money trickles down all the way back to their homeland, that home city that birthed them, to that first coach. So every club that they've been a part of gets a piece of that $100 million. Because they're all a part of that player's development. And so that's the dope part about it, to where here in America, it's like, oh, you went to college, that's it, now you make your money.
Right.
You too late.
Yeah.
I can't come. You're 22 and I'm 15. You're 15 years old and you can already do what I can do at 22, and you're younger than me.
Yeah.
You're gonna develop.
Yeah, I'm saying it's just more room to grow.
Right.
Yeah.
At 22, you got 3-4 years, and then I'm done with you.
Right.
So it's just like you're not gonna survive that game.
Yeah.
And that's where here in America we're starting to figure that out now, but we're so late in that process. And we're taking the kids who do pay because it becomes that, well, I paid X amount of money, my kid need to play.
Yeah.
To other countries, it's like, I don't care how much you paid.
Yeah. If you're not good enough to play.
This kid right here that you see kicking bricks he's better than your child. And he's scoring more goals. We're going with him.
Yeah.
They coming to see him, and that's just the business.
Right.
And so that's where it's at when it comes to America and the rest of the world. And it's a culture behind the sport. America's learning the culture there. They're figuring it out. Some cities and states have it more than others. And that's just the harsh reality. And that's why those states thrive in the sport. I mean, California thrives all day long because it's soccer central all day long, compared to, somewhere like Wyoming. It ain't a real thing like that, but it's out there. They're growing it, but it's just leaps and bounds and differences.
Gotcha. So I think you're our first athlete that we've had on the show. We've had a lot of different artists and different creatives.
Word.
So from like I said, from the game of soccer or football, more traditionally, can you talk about what your goal is in the next few years, what you would like to see, from the game in this area, and then, moving forward, what would you like to see?
Well, I mean, one of the biggest things I would like to see is one, to see all the soccer clubs come together and just make one club. I think everyone's getting away with taking people's money and having no purpose. And you're selling false dreams to kids. If it was one club, then, you know, we have a real system. We can then put certain things into place and actually make it all make sense. I think when you have a club that can charge, let's just say $4,000, and another club that can charge $1,000, it's like, well, what's the difference?
Yeah.
Or I'm going to leave this club because they're not playing my kids, so I'm going to go to this club. And you just hop around until you get what you want, which at the end of the day, you've gotten nothing. And you spent X amount of dollars. You spent almost a house or a car by the time your kid is done playing soccer.
Right.
And that investment turns into what? Nothing. So I'd much rather see the investment of the dollar make sense club-wise, but also just to really see the sport go from a pay-to-play system to just homegrown. Like, let's just develop the talent. Let's develop these kids to understand, like, what they can potentially become and then push them into that, you know?
Yes.
And I think no matter what, we have so many different cultures out here that should be a thing that we should be trying to get to at the end of the day.
Right.
That's all. So for me, that's what I would love to see soccer go for out here in the area, and to have the more community behind it. Like, it shouldn't be just a Sunday league for Hispanics. It shouldn't be just an over 40 league. Like, everybody should be able to play together year round. It shouldn't just be done in Virginia Beach. Like, I love the field house. No harm, no foul field house, but it is what it is. Like, that's the only place that people go.
Right.
And you have more than just that out here. Like, let's make it happen, you know? So, and people are trying to do different things, and I respect it, but that's just the big thing out here is just bringing that culture and then keeping it, you know, homegrown. I think that's the beauty in it for me that I would love to see in the area.
Gotcha. That's great, man. Well, do you want to promote anything? Is there anything you want to, you know, any final words you want to say, or?
For the most part, you know, be the change. That's a big thing for me is, you know, be a part of the change, be a part of the culture, be a part of your community. I always want to shout out, you know, World Street Soccer, player position, my Hampton women's soccer team. Go ahead, girls. You know, we got a season coming up. You know, HU, Pirates, let's go. HBCUs, let's turn it up. But no, I'm here for the culture, man. I'm here to make sure that, you know, people are growing and that I can help connect the dots. You know, always shout out to Only You. You know, it's the home team. Thank you, Gallery. Thanks for listening. Minds in Motion as well. You know, to shout them out. That's a very big part of my life as well. But yeah, it's just, you know, I'm for the community. That's the biggest thing. Like, I really want to help people as much as I possibly can, and opening opportunities and doors however I can. That's it. Oh, R&B block party as well. Shout out to the team. You know, that was mad fun. Cousins, all of that. Always got to show love.
Gotcha. Oh, and finally, I want to ask you about this too. You know, you got your beautiful children over there. Can you talk to us about, of course, fatherhood and some lessons that you've grown or gained and, you know, learned throughout being a father?
Man, patience.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie to you. Being a father is an amazing thing, but it teaches you patience, and it also shows you a lot of awareness, you know, because I always look at it like this. I'm 36 years old, and I've seen a lot in my years, and I know what I want them to see in this world, as well as just my peers and people underneath me. So I always want to be able to set an example or to break down a door so that everybody else can walk through. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, you know, what being a father is it's literally about just being patient, but also leading the way so that everybody else can have an easier path. And with my kids, I laugh with them, I joke with them, but I talk to them. Like, I have conversations with them. And then when I'm not talking to my kids, I'm talking to other people's kids. Because I'm in the system to do so. So, I mean, I think being a voice and being an ear to them is the biggest thing. And allowing their ideas to come to fruition or to show them what it looks like. You know, I mean, I'm a young black man in this world that's trying to do something that hasn't been done yet, or is leading the way in something that people look at and say, well, that can't be done. You know, I don't have a traditional 9 to 5. I don't do the traditional normal things. Like, I literally create everything with my mind and put it together and say, okay, then this is what we're gonna do. And I figure it out. I problem solve. And I just show them that you can do it. Just think it through, be calm, And if that's what you believe in, then fight for it. You know, I think that's the biggest thing is that we look back at it, when we're in a time where we look at life or we look at obstacles and say, oh, it can't be done, or, you know, somebody else can do it. Like, nah, just lead the way and everybody else will follow. Yes. So that's what I've learned in being a dad, man, and going through that process for sure. So that's where I could leave it at.
I got you. So last question.
I'm listening.
Messi or Ronaldo?
I'm a Ronaldo guy all day long. I can't even hold it. You know, like I grew up, like I love Messi.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. He's amazing. But when it comes to the game, for me, I watched Ronaldo become a player.
Yeah.
And that to me is the biggest difference. Like, you can be born talented, and that's just an exception. But to see a person make themselves an elite world athlete is a completely different ballgame. Right. And I think that to me is like the separation between the two. It's like Messi's talented, like you can't take nothing away from him. Yeah. But with Ronaldo, that man transformed what we see the sport to be like. Yeah. It's just like when you saw Ronaldinho for the first time, it was like, yo, who was this cat with the buck teeth making people look silly? Like, you fell in love with that because he was naturally talented at that. Right. But for me, Ronaldo that's my guy.
Got you.
I don't care what anybody got to say. Ain't got time to argue with you. Argue with yourself, okay?
Well, yeah, thank you again, man. Appreciate you for making the time.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So once again, Dupe Hall, player position, many other things, wearing a lot of hats. So thank you for coming out.
Indeed.
Yeah, appreciate it.